For weeks, we've been bringing you the mounting pushback against those license plate reading cameras. And tonight, for the very first time, we're hearing directly from the largest provider of them, Flock. Your reporter Dylan Fearon is live in West Hartford tonight. And Dylan, what the company is saying is contradicting what we've heard from some local leaders.
It is, Aaron. Good evening. We're here in West Hartford, which uses Flock Safety and has 34 LPRs around town. Today we heard from a Flock representative and a couple of police chiefs today. They're showing how the cameras help solve crimes and they're easing concerns over privacy, but that's where contradiction comes in. On primary election day, the biggest controversy in Connecticut isn't anything on a ballot, it's surveillance cameras. One of the biggest concerns, does the data stay in Connecticut? And if not, who has access? Dan Haley is Flock Safety's chief legal officer.
Every community that uses our system owns their own data and controls their own data, and that's always been the case.
But that's not what we were told earlier this month by Killingworth's first selectman. He said Flock wouldn't commit to not selling the data to third parties. Because of that, the town is taking down the Flock cameras it installed last fall.
99.99, I have no idea how many digits, percent of the images that are collected are deleted, never having been viewed. They are only viewed if there is a reason to believe that a vehicle has been involved in a crime. And so people have this notion that there's this database out there and there are people sitting there watching people's movements. That's simply not the case.
The cameras have created massive controversy in the state. Today, the State Police Chiefs Association held a press conference to ease concerns. They point to a new state law beginning October 1st that they say will prevent the abuse so many people fear. The law will limit Connecticut law enforcement to sharing data only with Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and New York. Those states have to agree to not use the data for immigration enforcement, reproductive health care, or gender-affirming care investigations. The data has to be deleted after 21 days unless it's part of an active investigation. That's down from the current 30-day standard. The Chiefs Association admits there's been abuse across the country, but say the benefits far outweigh those few cases.
In Farmington, in the last 10 months, we've had 3 homicides. This LPR has played a critical role in all 3 of those homicides and solving them.
Now, Haley says towns around the country, Aaron, are turning their cameras back on after initially removing them because of the privacy concerns. Governor Lamont in Connecticut asking for a 30-day pause. I'm your reporter live in West Hartford tonight, Dylan Fearon, Channel 3 Eyewitness.